Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything you need into the cloud and save a lot of money. I probably need to save some money after spending the last 2 nights at Coca Booth Amphitheater watching Sturgill Simpson. Speaking of being sent into the cloud, my dude jammed for 3 hours each night. No opener. Show started at 7. Cary Noise Ordinance has him done by 10. He just jammed out the last 2 nights. And let me tell you, Coca Booth was like OG epicenter. Saw a lot of listeners. I saw Will Brinson when I was driving in.
Our guy.
Looking peak Raleigh Brinson, man, getting ready for a Sturgill show.
Not hot mic, I hope.
No.
Keep him away from that mic.
No, I saw Jonathan Rand.
Oh, boo-boo.
With his new lady friend.
Yeah.
I asked if he still had the dart. Like, you're still dating this man after that dart? She's like, oh, yeah, the dart still has Bojangles in the back. I guess that's what I thought. I saw Jim Young.
Say why?
Yeah, man. For those who don't, Jim Young, longtime old ACC guy, Greensboro News and Record.
That's right.
ACC Sports Journal. Used to do a podcast with him back in the day. I saw your old colleague, my old high school compatriot, Jack Daly.
JD.
It was insane.
That's a big time.
I saw the Young Gravy.
Nice.
I saw Bobby over at Highwire. LK was there. Last night, I'm pulling up, putting the chair down. Kelly goes, hey, look who's next to you. And I'm like, what? And it was a listener with an OG trucker hat. Now, the name, I apologize because I forgot our listener's name, but I'm pretty sure you delivered a hat to him in Lillington. Maybe. He asked where you were, and I'm like, nah, man, no chance.
A lot of deliveries. Yeah,
it was out in Lillington. So apologies. He was there with his son and completely just blanked on the guy. But thank you for buying a hat. Or I'm sorry, getting access to a hat.
No.
Yeah, we didn't buy one. He got access to a hat.
There might be some access in the future to certain items.
And he was rocking that OG thing. So it was cool. Now, look,
could be a very merry OG Christmas.
It could be. We'll see what happens. But yeah, man,
thanks to our friends at Copiers Plus, of course.
I gotta say, because I took Caleb on night 1 thinking you're into guitar. Sturgill is very, very good with the guitar. I thought you'd appreciate this, but the Southern flavored rock jams that he was doing, because the whole tour is called Why Not?
Okay.
And it's an accurately named tour because Sturgill's whole attitude is, why not? Let's take all of my rock-centric tunes, give them a little extra Southern boogie, and then I'll mix in covers of other Southern classics like Midnight Rider.
It kind of sounds like my social media timeline.
In what sense?
We got like yacht rock covers. We got the Doobie Brothers. We got some country.
He did not do a Nine Inch Nails Closer yacht rock version last night, but maybe next time. I did joke with Rand.
You like to impugn my musical taste sometimes.
I did joke with Rand. I said, yeah, man, the only thing missing from that night running into you was him doing a cover of ZZ Top's LaGrange. And then everything would have come full circle. Some people will get that joke. But anyway, it was an incredible 2 nights over at Coca Booth. And shout out to the people who yelled at me, including one listener. When I looked at the line at the bathroom and I said, nah, I can hold it. He just goes, Joe Ovies noping out of the bathroom line. I'm like, hey, man, appreciate you. I'm going to go back and watch the show. Anyway, I got back last night and I got back in time to watch the second and third periods of the Carolina Hurricanes. A little confused. We're going to have to now call it the Not DraftKings Network.
So, they will not get a name check.
They will not get a name check for reasons. So the Not DraftKings Network was on with Not DraftKings Network play-by-play voice Mike Maniscalco and Jim Tracy. And as they're talking about the first period and getting ready for the second period, Kelly's paying attention. They're talking about like, a couple great chances. Apparently they had like 2 just empty net opportunities on a penalty kill that they could not bury. Okay, fine. And Kelly just goes, "Are we doing this again?" I go, "What do you mean?" It's like, we're just going to do this again, where it's like, they're talking about all the opportunities that they could have buried, but they didn't. And they got all these shots and they can't get it past this goalie. And of course, Connor McDavid does Connor McDavid things in this game. And then sure enough, the Canes find a way to get back into this game. They tie it up 2 apiece and Sebastian Aho scores. the game winner with seconds left in overtime. Initially, I thought it was going to end in a way that is typical of what we've been complaining about the Canes. Here's Sebastian Aho with a point-blank opportunity to go top shelf on Skinner. Did not happen. Puts it right into his pad, rebounds, and then I think it was Natchez who collected it, went back up, fed it to Aho. One-timer. He did go top shelf. They win. Everybody goes home happy.
We'll start with the Oilers.
Yes.
The Oilers have been bad thus far this year. They like, maybe I have a new theory. They are the betting favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Well, maybe you don't want to be the betting favorites to win the Stanley Cup. They have struggled out of the gate this year. You mentioned Connor McDavid. He has been in a bit of a slump until last night. He had 2 goals last night. So now in multi-goal games, the Oilers are 48-5-3 when he scores more than 1 goal.
That's insane.
That's kind of sort of crazy.
And that's a credit to Freddie Anderson, who had some key saves last night.
So for the Canes to get one of those, that's your statistical anomaly of the day. 48-5-3 when he scores more than 1 goal.
Now,
but let's talk about the Canes, because this was a super important game for the Carolina Hurricanes. We talked to Rod Brind'Amour. We talked to Rod Brind'Amour in July. And he said, he was honest. He was raw. He was feeling it. Basically said, I don't think we got better this summer. I.e., we got worse this summer.
So the anti-got man?
Yeah. Like,
we got worse tonight.
I mean, he was down and feeling it. Like, we essentially saying, we made a lot of moves. We lost a lot of players that I was comfortable with. Basically, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Right. Then we see him after training camp. And he was not raw as much as we were like, hey, man, year 7, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of super cash, if you will, if you can be. As much as super cash Rod can be. And he's like, basically, it was like, shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like, we got a long way to go, basically. Like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Like, obviously he likes certain players. He's like, shit, if I know. This is where you find out, because last night, I'm on the DraftKings and I go, this would be a classic old Canes. You auto play. Canes are down 2-0, auto play.
Yeah.
They're coming back.
Yeah, they're coming back.
In the back of my mind, I get to the spot on the tab to bet on the Canes money line.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I'm thinking of Rod in that media room going, shit, I don't know. And I'm sitting here going, well, we're going to find out tonight, because that was a classic Canes comeback, very important in that sense. You fought back. That's culture. That's the Canes culture. You're down 2-0. The best player on the earth is the one who scored the 2 goals. A lot of teams say, when's the flight to Vancouver? When do we get out of here?
Yeah.
It's 1 of 82. But when you put a value in things the way that the Canes do because of their coach, you have important comebacks like this. Number 2, you did mention Freddie, but who really drove the bus here? Fishy and Natchez.
So that's what I was going to get at.
And for this team to be what it can be, it has to have a large part of Marty Natchez.
Yes.
There is no way around this. That kid at this point now, not a kid anymore.
I was going to say, he's not a kid.
Has to figure it out. has to become the top 6 player that they need him to be.
Yeah.
He needs to become an elite player for them to be really good. So, and for him to play the way that he did, for Fishy and Sepp, or whatever you want to call him, to play the way that he did, that to me, I leave there. If I'm Rod Brind'Amour and I leave there, I'm going, I figured a little bit more out tonight. I took a little step closer to figuring out what we could be tonight.
So I agree with you in that Rod was a little bit more cash, but there's a consistency in Rod that goes back to those raw moments in May to getting ready for the season after the camp and all that stuff. Is the classic statement, your best players have to be your best players. So, going back to Kelly making the joke about like, oh, we're doing this again with the Canes, where they've had all these opportunities, they can't bury them. And she just says, they just need dudes. Why don't they have dudes? And of course I'm like, they do have dudes. The problem is the dudes, whether it's because of this long-standing critique of Rod's system and everything else, might not produce the way that these guys are, at least they're positioned to us and positioned within the organization to produce. It's one of these like chicken and the egg type thing, right? But to your point, your best players have to be your best players, which gets us to Rod Brind'Amour last night, who I think has been hanging out with Sidney Lowe.
Well, you need your best players to step up. I mean, look at their goals. Like, who's making the plays, right? The best guys have to do that. You have to get on the score sheet, and our guys did tonight, which obviously was the difference.
That sounded oddly familiar, Joe.
Well, your best players have to be your best players, and then they have to make shots. It's the only way you can win.
It's the only way you can win, Joe.
I'm also now having a flashback to our exit interview with Rod last year when we were talking about the power play and how they ranked number 3. And they had all these good things, and they did so without a superstar, without a Connor McDavid. You know, if you don't know Rod's appreciation of Connor McDavid and Draisaitl is very, very high.
It's very high. It's pretty high. It's pretty high. So anyway,
let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Mehl.
Love having a hockey break right out of the gate. You can tell me Canes season is back. I'm hype about this. You can be hype about going to the Canes games when they're finally back in town and having healthy options thanks to our friends at Happy and Mehl. Not everything has to be beige. Just saying, there are healthy options. And just because it's healthy doesn't mean it's not filling and delicious, which is what Happy and Mehl is all about. And the app, Joe, makes it super, super easy. And over at North Hills, they've got a couple of spots just for pickup purposes. Order online, show up, grab it, and go. So big thanks to Happy and Mehl for being a corporate champion. You know, last night there was a father-son. This week's been about father-son moments, right? Like I took Caleb to go see Sturgill Simpson on Monday. It was not wholesome and sweet. He was kind of bored.
Okay.
Not his speed.
Okay.
It's fine. That's cool. I thought he would appreciate the guitar. Not so much. It's okay. Not everything can be a staged father-son moment. Like LeBron James and Bronny last night, Joe. I'm being somewhat sarcastic. I understand the neatness of it all, the historic aspect of it. And because it's 2024 and most family things are staged for social media, I respected it. I mean, why take a vacation if you're not just going to use it to be like, look at what a great time we're having. And you post it to Facebook and Instagram and everything else. And that's what it felt like. It was very relatable from a father perspective. Hey, I made this happen. Let's get our moment. Let's, put it in imagery, video, photo, plaster it everywhere. We good? Cool. All right, let's get back to business. That's a very cynical way of looking at it, but I'm really left with no other choice but to view it as a cynical moment in the LeBron James career arc, because really that's what the last couple of years for LeBron James has been, solidifying his career arc. And this was obviously one of them, to play with his son in a Lakers game to start the year.
Yeah, all I can think of is that when he was 22 years old, LeBron James in 2007 led the Cleveland Cavaliers to the NBA Finals. On his team was Larry Hughes, Drew Gooden, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, and Anderson Varejao.
Yeah.
So this must be like his payback for like, hey man, you took an absolutely terrible team to the NBA Finals. Like there was a genie who back in 2007. Well, what would you like for your reward?
Yeah.
Well, I would really like to play in an NBA game with my oldest son. That's about all I can explain this at. And you say wholesome, and maybe my brain it works the wrong way. Okay. But if I was and Ken Griffey Sr. was there, Ken Griffey Jr. was there. They famously played together for the Seattle Mariners because Ken Griffey was still a pretty good outfielder. And his son was a certified phenom.
Yes.
Certified.
Yes.
Okay. It's really the only way it worked because the kid was that. Literally, you can't call him the kid because he was the kid. He was that good at 18 years old.
Not a nature situation.
Okay. So I look at this two different ways. Like part of you is just like half of your brain says LeBron is 39 years old for everything he's done. If this is what he wants to be his favor or his genie payback, cool.
Any dad would do this.
How different? Yeah. How different is this really than the CEO bringing their kid to work or even giving him a no-show job? Right. If you want to get back to your Sopranos, giving a no-show job, right?
Yes.
So part of me says, fine, you've earned this. Part of me should just say, oh, wow, like you said, wow, that's cool. The Griffies were there. They celebrated.
They got their moment. The Lakers won. The game was really about Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Okay, but whatever.
We've talked about who should be their best player.
Right.
But the other part of me says, nah, if I was the Griffies, I would actually I would be full 72 Dolphins here. Like I would just be pissed because I'm sitting here going, we earned being on the field together.
Yeah.
That was totally and completely legitimate. What you're doing is WWE bullshit. That's what you're doing. You're cashing in a favor to have your kid on the team when he has not earned a spot on the team.
Sure.
So part of me says we have as the Griffies, we have our distinct place in history that you've now besmirched by pulling this shit.
I don't think it's besmirched.
I'm saying part of me looks at it that way.
Okay.
And then there's part of me that says, oh, wow, isn't this warm and fuzzy?
Yeah.
What part would you like to win out? I understand both parts of it. Does it affect me that LeBron James is bringing his kid in the NBA? It does not affect me.
That's the thing. That's
in any way.
That's what I get back to. Like, I get where you're coming from in the parts of the brain and all that stuff. And I went through that same cycle as well from the as a dad, ... all that kind of crap, right? Ultimately, Bronny played 2 minutes and 41 seconds. He got one shot blocked by Rudy Gobert, and then he missed a three that was set up by Dad, which I'm sure he's never going to hear the end of it of like, dude, you got to bury that shot, okay? But it happened. And it's one of those things where in the moment, I can see the cynicism, but 20 years from now, when we do the retrospectives on LeBron James, it'll be part of the highlight package, and it'll dawn on you how little this didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, how little impact it had on anybody's life other than LeBron James and his son. And if that was worth it for him, and if you were put in the same position as a dad where you had an opportunity, like not everybody's wired like Michael Jordan. Jordan could have easily he could have easily done this with his kids, but he did it? No, right?
Well, Marcus Jordan averaged 12 points a game at Central Florida. Now, this was in 2010, so Jordan would have been pretty old at this point.
At this point, I'm just saying, given the same situations, Jordan's not wired that way.
Right.
Jordan probably would have been like, Jordan's the same guy who basically apologized to his kids for not being him, right? At his Hall of Fame speech. Completely wired. This is how LeBron wants to do his thing. And again, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked how little impact this will have on your life going forward. Now, I feel like I've had an impact on Joe's life in that I have brought him out of NBA quarters retirement.
It's kind of shooting fish in a barrel when they're raising the banner and doing all those good things. That probably should have been on that one. But yes, you nudged me. You pushed me. You got me in the right spot.
Perfect. So you did okay yesterday.
I went 1-0 yesterday.
Good for you.
Resisted the urge.
That's right. So the NBA is back. And that new season means it's time for Joe to dust off the cobwebs of his quarters, which you can do on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. You might do quarters like Joe. You might just look at some of the single game parlays or multi-game parlays with various players that DraftKings builds out. Like these guys are all going to hit a bunch of threes, and we'll see what happens with part of the $5 gang. That's how I get down. But all those options are available to you on DraftKings. And right now, DraftKings new customers who bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Every point counts with DraftKings Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that promo code OG24. OG24 for new customers. You will get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. You ready for me to do legal again?
Here we go.
See if I can nail it. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. Did I nail it?
Boom.
Nailed it.
Housekeeping.
Brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com. Green cleaning solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it green clean with Enovana.
We got OG fans, all part of OGTriangleMedia.com. Sign up today. You get premium podcasts. We'll have a new OG on business with me and Dimitri later today. So do that. We also have the Butcher's Market, who sponsors our OG mailbag. That'll drop on Friday. So check that out by all means. Go to thebutchersmarkets.com to find out more. You can get pre-made stuff. You can get just whatever cut of meat you're looking for with all the seasoning
sandwiches?
and the wood, everything else. And yes, you go to Lake Boone. And they have sandwiches everywhere.
Right.
But the Lake Boone spot for me is top notch because they got the outdoor seating and it is peak outdoor seating season right now.
Perfect spot. Check them out. They do catering now too. I know those holidays are coming up. You're sitting here thinking, Joe, I don't exactly love doing all this cooking. Well, you don't have to. So go check them out, butchersmarkets.com.
Big thanks to Home Field Apparel. Check them out, homefieldapparel.com. They've dropped these new satin pullovers, and they are absolutely fantastic. I'm pulling them up on YouTube right now if you're watching on YouTube. The NC State one is absolutely classic. Big, shiny, bright red with NC State across the chest. You got Tuffy on the sleeve. I'm going to pull up the Carolina one, which is a gorgeous blue. This thing is fantastic. Pure 80s, 90s vibes on this thing.
That is nice.
That is beautiful. And the Duke one in the royal blue also pops.
It's got Jeff Capel written all over it.
There is something about that royal blue with the satin sheen that absolutely pops. And all of this is on homefieldapparel.com right now. All you got to do is use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. It is holiday time. That means you might be thinking about gifts. I can't think of a better gift than that. Also, big thanks to our friends over at Longleaf Swine. Check them out online, longleafswine.com. You might catch me there this weekend, because folks, the brunch is absolutely fantastic. And as we mentioned earlier about sitting outside, they got a great spot outside at Longleaf Swine in downtown Raleigh.
And a smash burger now on the menu full time. So go check them out, see what you're missing.
You're welcome for that, folks. You are welcome. So again, go to longleafswine.com and you can enjoy some amazing barbecue. You got the brisket. And of course, what they do with that brisket with the burger is absolutely fantastic. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is Walker Mehl, WFNZ in Charlotte. We mentioned the NBA, thanks to DraftKings. Walker, I have a real simple question for you. Can the Hornets save the city of Charlotte?
It's a low bar. So maybe. All you got to do is be fun. Can you give us an entertaining product? And they've given us that before. They were a league pass team that national audiences like to tune into just a couple of years ago. It seems like 10 years ago, but it was just 2. I checked it on Basketball Reference. So if you can be a fun team and if you can be healthy, the bar is so low that, yeah, I'm hoping that they can save the city.
I feel like David Tepper and Tepper Sports and Entertainment, they're trying so hard right now to distract you from the Panthers games. In that, I look, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it's like the Panthers have a horrendous weekend against Washington, and they announced the Shakira show at Bank of America, right? So I almost feel like they have all these shows lined up. They're just not announcing them yet because they're saving them. So it's like, oh man, another week where Dave Canales is making things awkward about like the Bryce Young, Andy Dalton situation. Quick, break the hips don't lie emergency class. We need Shakira to distract people.
You actually have a pretty long lineup of artists, and they're all just smoke bombs. I just don't know how many more smoke bombs he has to just boom and then go away immediately upon. I'm gone. Here's Shakira. Here's Petey Pablo. Here's Sting. Hey, here's Sting. Sting is next to Billy Joel, guys. I got 2 of them. Boom, boom.
Classics. Yeah. Oh, you guys want a beer festival? You want to do that again? We'll run a beer festival back. Let's do it.
Yeah.
As long as you don't talk about the Panthers, right? That beer festival was a bit of a
I don't know. Yeah, that's one you got to throw away. You can't do that one again, which I don't think they've done again since it went so poorly.
You got to go back to the drawing board. You got to go back to the drawing board with that one. All right, real quick on the Hornets side. I love how you're decked out. You got the Locked On Hornets.
I'm so ready.
Behind you. You're ready, man.
I'm so ready. I just got it. I got the neon sign for the season. I feel like neon signs are coming back, so I decided to hop on the trend.
Yeah, man, we're all about the neon signs.
I got the hoodie. I'm ready to go. I'm so excited.
Is Ball ready? Is he ready to ball?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'm all in on LaMelo Ball, despite the injury history, and I get it. If you don't want to be, that's fine, because there are plenty of injuries that he suffered. He's wearing ankle braces, and we've seen him now. So he despite him saying that he's going to wear ankle braces and then ditched them before the first regular season game last year, he is committing to them now. So we'll see tonight against the Rockets. But I'm all in on LaMelo being a guy that can just be pretty much, man, a bona fide all-star if he's out there on the court, and maybe even flirt with an all-NBA season. That's been my go-to bold prediction, that he can put up 25, 7, and 7 pretty easily. Mm-hmm. And that stat line gets you in the conversation. It gets you for sure at least a reserve spot in the all-star game. But if you think about some of these other guys that have been a third-team All-NBA member, Tyrese Halliburton, Trae Young, just these offensive-centric that give a lot to be desired on the defensive end. But when you put up a stat line like that, you're going to get noticed. If LaMelo plays the 65-game threshold, remember they had that rule that first came into effect last year, so it's a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. And you play 65 games. If you do, and you give me that stat line, and the Hornets are healthy enough to at least just make it to the play-in, yeah, I think he's going to be flirting with a top 15, at least top 20 spot as a player in the NBA.
I obviously follow all of these things with Ball and his importance and all of the diminishing. They went from, like you said, the playing team down. Yeah. You see the 75 games. Then he played 60. And then it's like, he played 20. Now you're in trouble.
Right.
But doesn't this have to be about the guys around him too? Like I'm thinking of Brandon Miller here. Like, isn't this one of those super important years for a guy like Brandon Miller? And if for no other reason than for the Hornets to be able to prove, like, hey, yeah, we drafted all these guys around LaMelo and he makes them all better, but at some point, don't those other guys also have to perform?
They do. The good news is we got that in a rookie last year who would have maybe won Rookie of the Year if he wasn't up against two unicorns and Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren, who is that Ben Simmons type rookie, Blake Griffin type rookie, who was actually second year in the NBA but didn't play. So Brandon Miller winning Rookie of the Month in the Eastern Conference the last 3 months, 20 points per game in that 3-month stretch, can shoot 37% from three last year. And if you have paid attention in preseason, Charles Lee has him shooting a lot more 3-point shots rather than getting to a spot in the mid-range. I think Brandon Miller and LaMelo is a dynamic backcourt. It's going to be tough to stop those guys because both are really good shooters. They can't get to the rim and finish all that well. I do think that LaMelo is going to increase his free throw rate, but just look, we can do all the stats and stuff, right? There is real star power here with this LaMelo Brandon duo. If you have two all-star caliber players, well, that's the battle. That's what everybody's looking for. Can you give me two all-star caliber players in the NBA? And that's a great start to provide some kind of foundation. You put Miles Bridges into the fold, who is embracing this tertiary option. He's embraced it at Media Day, on a couple podcasts that he's appeared. Mark Williams is hurt, unfortunately. He says not to worry too much, but Mark Williams, I'm hoping, will come back in the next couple of weeks. And I expect good things from Mark as long as he's healthy too, with that caveat reigning supreme, right? We know how it is. But Mark Williams, I like as well. I think that they have the right young pieces. It's just all about, can they stay on the court? And I think we'll see some real improvement.
Tell me about their rookie, because I feel like we've completely lost track of the Hornets. They took a guy in the 6th pick from France. I'm not even going to attempt to butcher his name right now.
I was looking at it earlier this morning. I'm like, I'm not, but I'm sure Walker knows how to pronounce it.
Yes, it is Tijan Salon. Okay, now I'll get corrected on that every once in a while, but I think we like to put some spice at Tijan Salon, French it up a little bit. So look, this guy drafted 6th overall. Nobody knew the Hornets were interested in him until, shout out to Kristen Peak of Yahoo, tweets it out 2-3 hours before the draft. Hey, keep an eye out for the Hornets' interest in Tijan Salon. Like, what? We're supposed to be interested in Donovan Clingan, in Reed Shepherd if he falls, Stephon Castle. Are they looking to trade up? We really didn't profile this guy all that much, except for maybe one episode on a daily podcast all throughout draft season. That was it. And sure enough, he's the selection at number 6 overall. Real raw prospect coming out. That was the report. Not even a great shooter percentage-wise. All motor, toolsy. That's what his MO was.
Toolsy. Okay.
Yeah. Gets
right, you get draft. You know what? We
You didn't like that jargon? You didn't like that? Just say it. That's Tijan Salon
for me, man.
Wait, is he gonna play though?
Toolsy Tijan. No, I don't think he'll play all that much. I do think he's ahead of schedule though, which is nice. Like we're seeing him in the preseason, we're seeing him in the summer league, and he's ahead of schedule. So I like seeing it.
I feel like Brian Geisinger is about to just drop in and give me synergy stats too. But that's neither here nor there.
It's draft jargon, man. You know, I get. No, what you got to throw at the people.
The kind of draft jargon I'm into is tanking. Okay, tanking is the draft jargon.
You want more losing? I hear you.
So I saw this was interesting, right? Because from our perspective, Cooper Flagg's doing the thing right down the way.
Oh no.
Okay. This is where this is going. Right?
I hear you. No, yeah.
You got Cooper Flagg right down the way, and we are going to get back into much like Victor Wembanyama, who's going to tank, right? I know Joe.
He's not that.
But
he is not that.
I get that, but that's not going to stop people from putting the Hornets in a pool of teams that could potentially tank for Cooper Flagg. That's not how you've positioned this Hornets team. But it is interesting that people are so down on the Hornets that they would assume that they would be in the running for a Cooper Flagg tank.
Part of it, by the way, Toolsy really threw a wrench in all of this, by the way. That was hilarious. We just needed to stop everying. Hey, okay, stop. I'm done with Tijan. I am so done. Get out of here.
The SEO ain't going to SEO itself, Walker. And Toolsy for a 6th-round pick from France ain't going to do it.
6th overall.
Cooper Flagg does, though. You're right. Yeah, nice job of steering this in the Cooper Flagg direction.
Hold on real quick for YouTube purposes. Cooper Flagg. All right, let's go.
Bro, I'll even drop some in there as well. The Hornets are really interesting in the fact that they have a lottery protected 1st-round pick. So if they make the playoffs, they obviously don't get that 1st-round pick in what is a star-studded class. Not only is it just Cooper Flagg, but there are a lot of other prospects here where it's like 20 deep and you feel like you got something, at least a starter going forward. The Hornets are in this weird space where, they're somewhat in the middle. They're in what is typically a bad space to be in the Eastern Conference, but it feels like they're on the way up, right? They're not just stagnant and they're not going down. Brandon Miller is a 2nd-year player. Mark Williams, if he's healthy, 3rd-year player that looks pretty good. LaMelo is still so young, and he's locked into a big-time contract. So it feels like they could be going up on this. If they get to the playoffs and have to relinquish or have to give up that 1st-round pick, that's pretty tough. The thing is, like the NBA draft lottery rules now, it gives all these teams a shot. If you're in the lottery, then you got a shot to sneak up there in the top 2, top 3. Probably not Cooper Flagg sweepstakes, but still some of these other guys that NBA teams are drooling over. So, it's a real interesting question. Once we get to a nice enough sample size, all right, so are we going like what? 50, 60 games? Do the Hornets want to give this team, LaMelo and Brandon, a shot at playoff experience? Or do they want to pivot, trade, whatever, maybe rest their guys a little bit more so, the whole tanking thing, and try to get their 1st-round pick? I wonder what they're going to do. They've been like Zach Lowe has called them maybe the Utah Jazz team of this year where they outperform expectations, but everybody thinks, okay, this is not going to be a team that has any stability in the postseason. So let's just bring this on back and get a higher draft pick. I don't think that they're going to operate that way. I really think that they're just going to let the cards fall as they may.
Okay.
I think that's how it's going to be. If they have a shot to get to the postseason, they'll just keep rolling with it. And if they don't, they'll keep rolling with it. That's how it feels like they're going to operate.
And to tie it back to the beginning of the conversation, this is a window for them where people are so down on the Panthers that if you just show some competency, people will probably respond to it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can close on this, Walker. Is the WFNZ text line going to melt down if the week concludes without anybody getting traded as active as things have been so far? I mean, Kansas City this morning goes ahead and they go out and get DeAndre Hopkins, right?
Right.
They've got pieces on a team that's not going anywhere. And they got pieces they can use to get some sort of draft value for anything at this point because they have to replenish so much. I just have a feeling that with some of the perceived value with guys like Deontay Johnson or Adam Thielen coming off his injury, some defensive players that, hey, let's get something back. People are going to lose their minds if they don't do anything?
No, yes, but they're going to lose their mind for everything.
Well,
like the text line, the Twitter timeline, if you have an avenue for Panthers to let their opinions be heard, they're angry opinions all over the board. They're just angry. Like everybody's just angry about what's happening.
Not only is it angry, it's toxic.
It's so bad.
I fired up Reddit this morning, which is a mistake, but it's whatever. Andy Dalton was in a car accident yesterday with his family. Thankfully, everybody's okay.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You have the jokes that I know Smoke made yesterday on FNZ. Well, the last Panthers quarterback to get into a car accident, they went on a run, right? Okay, I get it. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, God.
But then
Yeah.
when I logged into Reddit this morning, I saw here's footage of the person who got Andy in a car wreck, and it was a picture of Bryce Young in front of his new car.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's like, dude, it's
Yeah.
that bad online right now for the Panthers, man. Everybody's bad.
I hope that everybody got that confirmation that the family and the dog to boot was okay.
Yeah.
I hope everybody got that confirmation. And even so, probably not a joke that I'll be making, but fair enough.
No.
Yes, it is toxic. If you trade Deontay Johnson, if you trade Adam Thielen, Chuba Hubbard less so, but still, if you trade any of them, then you're going to have a large portion of the fan base say, why do we keep trading our good players? Because they're tired of seeing DJ Moore go away. They're tired of, even if they don't love it in the time, even if they don't love Brian Burns in the present, they still consider him as being a player that was traded, that was a good player. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey, letting some of these free agents go. So they don't want to see the good players move to a different team and ball out anymore. That's what a large portion of the fan base is feeling right now. So I don't think 100% of the fan base would be happy if they did decide to recoup some assets and try to go after this next year. And it's in part because they just don't have any trust that this team is going to make good on those draft picks. It's the good news is you're working with something a little more so this year with their draft class than in previous draft classes. Like Xavier Legette looks like more of a hit than a bust. That's nice. Running backs that are drafted early on, they more often hit than they bust. So that's good with Brooks when he comes back. Yeah, it's been all of the other terrible draft classes that has this fan base skeptical. Even if you do get more draft selections, like more bites at the apple, it doesn't matter. You're not hitting on any of them. So I don't think people know what they want. Like the Bryce Young stuff, Andy Dalton, I tweeted this out. It doesn't matter, man. Like throw Andy. I am one that would keep Andy Dalton in there because I've seen at least some good with Andy. I haven't seen much good with Bryce at all.
Yeah.
But even still, we're arguing on how we want to lose by 30 points because we're going to lose by 30.
The issue, it's funny because Joe and I talked about this yesterday. The issue isn't necessarily who do I really think gives the Panthers the best opportunity to win. It's more in the messaging coming from Dave Canales about Andy Dalton, especially during his Monday press conference where he's talking about hypotheticals. And it's like, dude, your entire job. I'm not talking about hypotheticals, even though your job is to deal with hypotheticals. Okay. It's just the messaging sucks.
It's not good.
And maybe Canales is, like Joe said yesterday, he's in survival mode. So he doesn't want to give you anything. And that tells you something completely different if your rookie head coach is already in survival mode.
I like Dave Canales. I think that there's some stuff to work with there as far as him being a good head coach. The messaging on taking Bryce or taking Andy Dalton out because he doesn't want Andy to get more hits and then putting Bryce out there. That was an interesting way to message that. Say just refusing almost to say Bryce Young's name like it's Beetlejuice. I don't really get it.
He threw his name in when he was talking about development. He threw in Bryce Young and Jalen Coker in the same sentence.
Yeah.
About how are you going to get, these valuable reps for these guys. They're not the same, but whatever.
It's tough. This guy, look, I don't know if Dave Canales maybe Canales did believe in Bryce Young before he took the job, but I think the first two games though, even if you did think that, the first two games were so bad. He coached scared in the Chargers game right off the bat. It was all flats. It was all 5 yards from line of scrimmage passes. He coached scared immediately. And by that time, it's why I wasn't surprised at all that Bryce Young was benched in favor of Andy.
But you know what? We're not here about the Panthers, man. It's about the good vibes for the Hornets. Happy Hornets Day.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe if Bryce was more toolsy, he'd get on the field, but he's not. That's how it is. Just telling you. Doesn't have many tools to work with.
All right, Walker, get out of here, man. Thanks.
Bye, Joes. Appreciate it.
Big thanks to Nature's Relief. Check them out online at naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF hempstore.com. You know what enhanced my Sturgill Simpson experience yesterday at Cocoa Booth, Joe?
It was gummy, a chiller?
Nature's Relief. I had a chiller in the parking lot.
Oh, nice. The drink.
Yeah, and then it hit about the right time. And I was having a good time watching Sturgill do his thing. Thanks to Nature's Relief. Maybe you got concerts you want to go to. Maybe, as we were talking with Walker, you just really can't deal with the Panthers. Well, you can enhance your viewing of the Panthers with our friends at Nature's Relief. And by the way, after you go to Nature's Relief to get some goodies,
get some ice cream.
Drop on by Two Roosters, ladies and gentlemen. And that way you are locked and loaded for when things are really hitting on the couch. Now, if you go to the Two Roosters Instagram, you will see they got some Halloween goodies.
Oh,
4-pack of spooky mini ice cream cakes, 4 individual mini ice cream cakes, 2 of each flavor, Graveyard and Witch's Cauldron. Graveyard minis are made with Oreo butter crust, chocolate ice cream, shortbread tombstone, Oreo crumbs, and green buttercream. Witch's Cauldron, it has Oreo butter crust, blackberry ice cream, purple buttercream, eyeball sprinkles, and a chocolate handle. These are amazing looking. And 4-pack of Halloween ice cream Sammy's, 4 individual ice cream sandwiches made with oversized 3-inch Oreo wafer cookies filled with vanilla ice cream, dipped with chocolate and topped with Halloween sprinkles. They're spooky and delicious. There's the picture if you're watching on YouTube.
Jared's amazing. I don't know how he comes up with this stuff.
Great stuff, man. So big thanks to Roosters. Also, big thanks to our friends at State Farm. Matt Davis. Give them a call directly at 919-779-8277, theoginsurance.com, or you can go to insuregarner.com. We will be in the State Farm office in Garner next week for a Butcher's Market OG Live.
Yes, we will. We also have the Ring of Fire on Saturday. Big cook-off.
When does that start? Because I got a band competition at Sanderson, and then I got a hockey game.
Well, what time is
so I think Caleb's Sanderson prelim for Enloe is at like 2:45 or 3:45.
Okay.
I'd like to drop on by, maybe in between the prelim and hockey, because hockey's not until 7:30.
Oh, it's earlier in the day than that.
Okay, well then I'll drop on by. Maybe I'll do a little lunchtime jam then. You gonna be there?
I will be there. We're
All
supposed to be celebrity judges in this contest.
Okay, well, I will drop on by. I'll probably bring Jacob with me.
There you go.
Big thanks to Matt Davis over at State Farm. And of course, Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. Check them out online, bugsbite.com. You've got this home. You insure it, right? Well, a good way to preserve your home beyond, doing all the right things is to make sure you don't have any pest problems. You can solve them at bugsbite.com. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is Chip Patterson from the Cover 3 podcast on CBS and the CBS Sports Network. Chip, what up, man? How are you doing?
I'm great. I came knocking yesterday, if I'm going to be real. But I was there in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Now we're long gone at that point.
Yeah.
Long gone at that point.
How'd you get your haircut yesterday? Yeah, you did.
I also have information to understand who did the cobwebbing. I don't know if y'all have uncovered that mystery.
No. We've had, for those who are wondering, up here at Eford Studios, we have Leanne, where Chip gets his haircut. I also get my haircut. I don't know when the last time Joe got his haircut. It's been a hot minute. Regardless, we showed up when it turned into spooky season, and there was cobwebs all over our door, and not in a way that was decorative. It just made it difficult to get into the studio.
It was a prank.
It was a prank?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it worked. It's fine. I mean, I have no problem with spooky season. As you can see, the neon cat and the boo behind me here. I love spooky season, but still. It kind of made it a pain in the ass to get in the studio that day. So mission accomplished on that one.
Not Leanne. That's all I'll say.
Not Leanne.
She's innocent.
I wanted to talk to you because I was listening to Cover 3, whichever latest episode where you guys do reference Mike Houston and ECU.
Yeah, Monday.
It was Monday's podcast, Parting Ways. Southern Miss also moving on from their coach. You've seen some assistants, some coordinators moved on. Obviously, Oklahoma being the biggest one with Seth Luttrell, right? But the part that I found interesting there's a local perspective on ECU, which we talked about on Monday after they got rid of Mike Houston. And then there's a national perspective. And Stephen Godfrey wrote about this in the Washington Post today as well. I don't think we are prepared to talk about the coaching carousel in 2024, 2025, the way we've talked about it in the past for a couple of reasons. You have the time frame because of the college football playoff and people being involved in very important games for an entire month rather than having a month off to do these types of things, right? You also have the House settlement that's looming over everything and what kind of money outlay is going to be involved for that and how that affects how you go about your coach. And if you're in the Big Ten or the SEC, yeah, it ain't going to bother you because you got all that TV money coming in. But for a school like ECU, which is working on a limited budget, along with all the other house stuff, I am really curious how they're going to go about replacing Mike Houston. I thought that was an interesting conversation, and I don't think one we've quite grasped yet.
Yeah, the two things, as I just started rolling through some names, that the pushback that I got, and it's an absolutely fair pushback, is number one, at a lot of these schools, it's like, well, if an LSU, a Clemson, it's like, well, if they want to keep them, they could just match. Yeah. And just like not bat an eye, like say, your ECU, you're going down, the conversations are great. You're feeling good about how you're going to sell this. You're talking to the people. This is going to be a great fundraising hire. And then you run out of chips. You're like, I raise you. And a school like LSU or even Clemson in the impoverished ACC, like they could still, for a coordinator, and have been showing, like Clemson's a little bit old school and they were on the forefront, a little more SEC forward in terms of like, no, we're willing to pay Brent Venables a boatload of money, more than defensive coordinators are getting right now. So, if there's someone out there that, like Joe Sloan's got his connections to the ECU program, it might be a spending issue to be able to get them. The other piece of this, is what do you have going forward in the future? Because, at a place like LSU, you've got a 5-star quarterback, Bryce Underwood, who people are saying could be like one of capital T, those prospects at the quarterback position because of his physical talents and sort of where he is in development. Bud mentioned he was like, he might be Cam Newton, which is stupid. We've called so many quarterbacks Cam Newton since Cam Newton. I don't know if that's going to happen, but still another big name in terms of like, would you be leaving? And then, December 20th, there will be first round games. If you are a team that is not one of the 4 conference champions, that means on December 20th, you're going to be playing in first round games. And if you win those, then you go to the quarterfinals, which are going to be around New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So now all of a sudden we've hit a point where if you want to get a coordinator from a program that is going to be in the Elite 8 or whatever we're going to call the quarterfinals, you're going to miss the portal window. Mm-hmm. You're going to miss the transfer portal window if you're going to wait out to try to get one of these coordinators from a power conference team that's in the playoff. And so, the money, the playoff, it's working against programs like an ECU. And look, ECU is levels above Southern Miss. They just happen to both fire their coach on the very same day. But ECU still, the gap between where they are versus some of these programs at the top of the sport, I think is going to be exposed big time with this hire. Not to say that there aren't candidates I like that could potentially you might not have to wait for, but that's for ECU to figure out.
I love the forward thinking of college football. Of course, this is the same entity that once solved their national championship before bowl games. So I try to keep that in perspective, but like they didn't think about any of this stuff when they expanded to 12 teams about how this was going to affect the health of the sport, the future of the sport, and what it's going to mean. I look at ECU and I see a program, Chip, and I'm being naive here in terms of the actual finances, but I look at what they are and I say, what reason does ECU have not to be on an annual basis one of the 5 or 6 best group of 5 teams?
All right. Mike Houston was on this very program, and I want to say that he was talking about how they really need to do, or maybe it was Holton Ahlers. I'm sorry. So please correct me. One of these 2 interviews was very illuminating, and I liked it as it pertained to the NIL conversation.
It was Mike Houston. He had said that the ECU fans had been hesitant for whatever reason to embrace.
Holton Naylor said the same thing when we talked to him.
But
and Holton was like, we need to drum it up little bit by little bit.
Yes,
and it's really tough. Like they need to go in and IPTAY this thing. And I just think that the barrier for entry financially has been such that if you have a couple, not even like capital M mega boosters, but if you have a couple of boosters that can like cut some big checks, then you've been able to handle yourself and like, keep the facilities. Cause I do think ECU's facilities, I think ECU's passion, I think their fan base are all on the forefront of the group of five. But what has been exposed in this like last couple of years of the portal era and sort of like from the comments that we hear from both Houston and Ahlers is like, yeah, but to go play that game, to go shopping, and not only shopping, to retain, because ECU has lost good players to the transfer portal as well, that to retain the players that you have sought out, you've scouted, you've developed, that's going to take a level of financials that just hasn't been a requirement for success for much of the time. And maybe that's the thought of the ECU fan is like, well, I already cut one check. I'm in the Pirate Club, Now I need to do more. Now I need to get like, is this really what it's going to take? And that might be something that they're having trouble wrestling with. My notion, and I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on this one. Like my notion is that the timing of this is so that Mike Houston didn't win a bunch of games.
I heard you guys say that, and I didn't understand why. That was like, if you're going to get rid of them, you're going to get rid of them. Right. And I know that the schedule is manageable the rest of the way, but the schedule was technically manageable against Charlotte and you got your ass handed to you.
True.
So you know what I'm saying?
It accelerates the fundraising to build out the war chest for December. That's like you can actually, like if somebody's like, well, I'm not, really excited. I'm out on Mike Houston. And now you can say like, well, we got rid of Mike Houston. Okay. So this is that now it's time to go. And it is very like end of Larry Fedora, where you could just imagine a scenario where like a whole new regime, a whole new roster could basically be funded. And what could go wrong when the boosters are running the show?
I think, right. You might end up with the 6 powerful boosters who get to tell Mac Brown how they should run their defense. No, I think where you guys might have been off base with the whole idea of, well, they want to get rid of them now because they don't want a reason to keep them around. I think the nuance here with ECU is if I know my firing timelines correctly, most of their coaches have been allowed to complete their year, right? Like they make the announcement, hey, you're not coming back, but they get to coach like the last couple of games of the season or whatever it is, right? I think even Scotty Montgomery, if I remember correct, no, he didn't. It's right. He bounced, right? So I got that one wrong. But bottom line, I think the reason why they do it now isn't because they're worried about him winning some games down the stretch and rallying the troops and whatnot. I think they do it now because I think ECU is looking at as we started the conversation, the timeline is so freaking different that you have to start acting now.
But again, how about this for an idea?
Okay.
Maybe ECU is the only fucking adult in the state of North Carolina who says this shit ain't acceptable and we're not putting up with it anymore.
So it's funny you bring that up. I don't know. Because I had posted.
I hat tipped to the Pirates for this very fucking reason.
I posted.
Yo-ho!
Seriously. I had posted.
Hey, you want to go to Mikey Stadium? I don't give a fuck if they're ranked.
Right.
You don't fall behind 31-0. You want to go to Charlotte and lose to the man boobs? Speaking of somebody who has them, buddy, put a fucking shirt on, okay? You can't lose to that guy.
That's a t-shirt.
You can't get run out of the gym by that guy.
Do you want to do a cutoff shirt that says man boobs?
So you get rid of that guy and you say, thank you for your service. Appreciate you. Very nice guy. I do think a very good coach. In the old model.
Yeah.
And this gets back to what you just said, though, Chip, and my brain is exploding right now, obviously. Are you trying to tell me that the old way of ECU winning is no longer achievable? That the old way of having a smart coach, finding diamond in the rough players, developing them, keeping them, building a better mousetrap is no longer achievable in college football?
Not to be sustainably a top 5 program among the group of 5.
Wow. That's depressing.
Well, the only way for ECU to work is that they are like a JMU, where you cycle through these coaches. Like you have a good infrastructure in place. Coach comes in, they do well, they move on, right? I mean,
and you lose players and you get players, and you lose players and you get players. Like that is I'm trying to like in their own neighborhood, Good news. Hey, but Giglio, good news. It doesn't take much to be the 5th best team in the American Athletic Conference.
Right.
No.
That's
the problem is the 5th best team in the American Athletic Conference ain't a top 5 group of 5 team, because the top 5 team AAC caught CUSA. All right. AAC started, going around and got the CUSA cooties, and like all the programs that were on the forefront have all gotten lifted up. And so, when you're looking around, like that, there's a reason why Army and Navy are at the top of the conference right now, because it doesn't take much to be able to get up into that.
Aren't Army and Navy doing what I'm saying?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
You know what Army's not going to do?
They have some sort of commitment there.
Say, there's a difference there.
Army ain't getting poached.
Yeah,
Army ain't getting raided.
So the only way for the old model to work is to be a
military.
Where you're willing to give your life.
You gotta turn yourself into Mr. Beast Army.
Like
and you're committed. So it's all part of a YouTube bit. Like you come here and you're committed to doing YouTube bits for 3 years. Sorry,
I'm currently ignoring Liberty and their blood money. So
yeah, there's that.
Like too. Ross and Liberty's not good this year.
No,
like they're going to be at the top of Conference USA because, like, again, same conversation. Do you know how hard it is to climb to the top of Conference USA? Like I think.
Okay, so let's be real about this.
Wait,
we're talking about the conference.
Liberty is not good.
We're talking about the conference, right? Let's talk about the state. Okay, let's talk about the state. It's not that hard to climb in the American. Well, given how NC State and Carolina have been, given Duke's ups and downs and Wake Forest and everything else, App State. Who's to say you can't? Anyway, all this is where I get into my crazy idea that somebody needs to get Brett Yormark's ear and say, "Hey, look, I understand that we don't look like an attractive football brand right now, but look at how ripe this area is for a takeover while these ACC schools dick around," right? To your point, ECU wants to be serious about football. Well, there's only one way to do it. They have to get out of the American. They need an influx of cash. And the only place that looks like they would bring them on, it's not the SEC. It's not the Big Ten. It's certainly not the ACC. It would be the wild disruptor of Brett Yormark to get into this market, which I'm surprised he hasn't tried to do yet. It's literally right there. And you become the Central Florida of North Carolina and really start getting people in their feelings about stuff because you're making money. That, to me, as crazy as it sounds, might be the ticket out, but it is what it is. Speaking of podcasts, I feel like Joe has before we say goodbye, Joe has a task for you on Cover 3.
Yeah. Chip, you may not want to be an ACC guy, but you're an inside the belt line, dyed in the wool. You're one of us. Okay.
Obviously.
In your entire professional life, you've had to deal with the SEC and people in the SEC. And yes, I get it. There's a lot of Florida State flavor on your podcast, but in general, you've had to put up.
Not right now. Bud's trying to avoid that at all costs.
You've had to put up with a lot of SEC bullshit in your life, in your professional life. Correct. And I respect the way that you've handled that. And it's occurred to me now, and as my brain has been in my bank account, my DraftKings account keeps losing and my brain keeps melting. I keep trying to figure out these concentric circles that are happening in the SEC. And I finally realize your time has come, Chip Patterson. Your time has come to explain like they're in third grade to all of these SEC people. Oh, that's cute. You won the first game. Oh, you think success is final. Oh, no. Well, we're going to run this shit back. We're going to see you in Atlanta. Well, maybe even twice, sir. You want to do it again at the SEC championship game? Oh, let's go. And then the other team will get excited. And then you'd be like, okay, let's do this a third time. Now we'll do it in the playoffs. Shit, maybe we'll see you in Atlanta again for the championship. So, hey, man, awesome that you won round one. Awesome that you held your serve. But let me explain to you how Duke and Carolina work in basketball. It ain't the first one that matters. It's the last one.
So, you know who already knows this intimately in the Southeastern Conference is the Georgia Bulldogs. Because when Bryce Young got his Heisman Trophy by beating the massive Georgia defense, Kirby said, "All right, we'll see you in Indianapolis." Cool. And I understand. Yeah. I'm like, Jameson Williams got hurt. There was I think John Mechie got hurt too. Like Bryce didn't have in that title game his full plethora of weapons. But I tell you what, no Alabama fan thinks about 2021 as a success. Or I guess 2021 would have been the Indianapolis title. 2022 was when Georgia put TCU in the locker.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Georgia Bulldogs are intimately aware about this like rematch theory. You know, I'm excited that we're not going to have the scenario of Ohio State, Michigan, then Ohio State, Michigan, because that would have broken the brains.
But I know what you are excited for.
Army, Navy, let's go. I mean, the first one could be for the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And then the second one is for America. I'll tell you what, but if there's any two programs that I would actually trust to not like sit players or totally check out of the rematch, look, dude, no way.
The service academies. There's no way.
Service academies.
No way.
No way. No way.
That would be disrespecting the troops.
It would
absolutely. That's disrespecting the troops.
Look, the ruthlessness and the relentlessness with which the United States Military Academy and the Naval Academy have handled their business on the football field gives me great encouragement about the Department of Defense moving forward. It also leads me to believe that they are the only rivals that can be trusted to have a conference championship and a rivalry game in back-to-back weeks, which in the American Athletic Conference has actually happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to say we had a Cincinnati UCF or a Cincinnati Memphis. They played last game of the year and played in the AAC title game. So not totally unprecedented, but yes, I will be able to coordinate. I'll be able to communicate that even though North Carolina won when Zion's shoe broke, and even though North Carolina won when I guess in the second game, Zion didn't play. Kobe White went crazy.
Yeah.
In the ACC tournament semifinals, which was the best game of that 2019 ACC tournament, and one of the most fun ACC tournament games that I've witnessed in person, Duke won that one and walked out like that. When they walked out of that, North Carolina was like, yeah, but we're still up 2-1. North Carolina
Nobody cared.
Shit.
Well, but on the flip side of that, it's always the last one, like you say, Joe. Mike Krzyzewski can talk about all those national championships that he has and all those ACC championships.
It's a tough one to come back
But of course, Carolina fans will go, yeah, but what happened in your last game?
Last two.
Yeah.
Cool. So what actually I'm going to take away from this entire conversation is not me getting excited about ECU. It's going to be Chip is telling me in real time, Giglio, start betting on the academies. They're covering like machines. They care. They don't ever give up. Got it. Stop betting on the SEC.
No, the other thing we do is we go Indiana fourth quarter because we smoke them through the filter. Kurt Signetti has that team playing through the whistle. Okay. Coach Sig has, look, it's like Iowa State second halves. It's Indiana fourth quarters. Ohio State third quarters is, if you want to do the real thread the needle parlay, we can get Nebraska plus 14.5 in the first half for the slow starting Buckeyes and an angry Dylan Raiola. Then jump on Ohio State third quarter because after halftime is when they hit the gas.
No, certain rules you got to live by. Never bet on Matt Rule against a ranked team. He's never beaten one.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, all we need is plus 14.5 in the first half. 21-7.
We're not looking for a win.
No.
21-7's a winner. So Army and Navy both play Notre Dame. I think one of them's going to beat Notre Dame.
Agree.
It starts this weekend. They're playing in the Giant Stadium.
Only thing I learned from this conversation is that the E on the podcast description is getting its workout today. It's getting its workout today.
Wait, hold on. So who do y'all want for ECU? Because right now y'all know I'm a listener. I'm actually in the Founders Club. When do I get my gift?
Whoa.
We met with Basics last week about finally coming out. We actually have something cooking here.
All right. I was totally trusting on that.
We got something cooking here, and that it was like you're gonna have these two items, but we might actually kind of blow it up to you have 5 items that you get to select 2. Like you get your pick.
I would have joined Founders Club whether a gift was promised or not. But I am a few episodes behind, and I like the show so much that I listen.
Butch Davis.
What?
Bring back Butch Davis.
Bring back Butch Davis.
I want to see Butch Davis in this day and age with NIL and everything else. Work that credit card, baby. I want to see how it works now.
It went so poorly at FIU. And like his buddy was the athletic director too. And
I know.
Still couldn't pull it all together.
I know. And his kid was on staff, and I know Bryn Renner was on staff for a while too. That's his guy. I don't know, man. Maybe you come back to North Carolina and you stick it to UNC. I don't know. Maybe bring Holden Thorpe back to watch this all. I have no idea.
I like a retread. from the aughts.
Yeah,
but it's not Butch.
Who is it?
Give me Rich Rod in Greenville.
Oh,
I think the old offense mindset. I think it could still work at ECU.
Jacksonville State has been fun this year. They're playing better.
Okay,
entertain me.
Yeah,
like, that's kind of what ECU football was for a long time. Like, hey, we can't get all these great players, but we can out scheme you, and we can find some good receivers, find some good running backs.
I'm sure somewhere in a corner. My guess is somewhere in the corner of Sam Jones, there in Greenville, somebody's muttering, "What's Steve Logan doing?"
Well, I mean, I like the Dwayne Ledford idea.
I love Dwayne Ledford.
You're all in on the homegrown vibes. You know, so let's bring back somebody in the purple and go from there.
And guess what? He'll leave the Falcons to come get started. You're not going to have to play the same like waiting game that you would with a big name coordinator from playoff contender. Like that's somebody who could pick up the phone. He's through like alum through and through. He also is like, I'm the big offensive line coach. I do the physical thing. Like we're going to be tough. Like you can brand that in a way that I think can check a lot of boxes for ECU. But I love the Rich Rod. I'm going to run with that one for sure, because then you don't need to have you don't need to go quarterback shopping in the portal, and because quarterbacks are obviously the position that is the most expensive. Mm-hmm. Because in Rich Rod's offense, you could be a wide receiver and now you're a quarterback. You could be a running back and now you're a quarterback. Like we don't need to be proficient. We just need to be good enough to at least make the defense respected a little on the pop play.
Somewhere Bill Pauline's going, hell yeah.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. Anyway, Chip Patterson, CBS Sports, Cover 3 podcast. We appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
You know, I noticed with today's guests, both Chip Patterson, who just came on, and Walker Mehl from WFNZ, they really did translate into we're just hanging out, talking to our guys, and the conversations go just about over the place.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a feature, not necessarily a bug.
Correct.
That's the beauty of the format. Speaking of the beauty of the format, I love the instant reactions we can get from our people when they support our corporate champions. For instance, Roback.
Yes, I saw this.
Shout out to Roback, roback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Our guy Sam, who covers the Outer Banks like nobody's business, he's coming in for the fair. And he says, you know you're from the Outer Banks when your OBX polo from Roback comes out of the suitcase with an actual Sandspur on it before you head to the fair. That's a slick polo, by the way.
It is. Yeah, it is.
You got your various lighthouses. You've got the Wright Flyer. You've got the horses. You've got kites. That's a good looking polo. I love that. And it could be yours at roback.com. So again, go to roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Maybe you're getting ready for a road trip, a lot of travel this month and next, and obviously in December. Stock up on some snacks for the car, and of course, stock up on gas. Don't put it in a trash bag. Fill up your car with it. So go to breezethrough.com. Don't put it in a trash bag. Go to breezethrough.com, and you can find out the various locations. Download that app as well. You can save money and get some other goodies, all thanks to our friends at Breeze Through.
Yeah, right there across from the L. Get your drinks, get your ice, get your snacks, get your gas. It's a full day.
Speaking of a full day, you have a full day on the website, myhtr.com. Hometown Realty allows you to buy, sell, and calculate. What can you afford? Well,
it's kind of an important part of the step.
Kind of a big deal. Well, what? I want a new house. Well, what can I buy? Hometown Realty makes it easy for you.
Yeah, go check them out, myhtr.com. You can buy, sell, and calculate with confidence.
And of course, our friends over at Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online, wh.lawyer. Attorneys and counselors at law. They can handle all sorts of legal matters for a small to medium-sized business. You personally, let's say you bought that house. You got to take it to closing. They can handle things like that. All you got to do is check them out at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe questions, and let's do it with the OG sports phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
By the way, quick tangent about the OG sports phone. I visited our guy Brian over at Nice Price, who does a lot of these all of our jingles, all of them, since Rand refuses to text us back. So Brian steps up with actual production and everything else. And he had sent me one for corrections and clarifications, which is pretty good. But he's all worried now because he has to follow up the hit. He's like, it only took me 20 years to write my hit. And it was a complete just stupid idea. I go, isn't that how most hits come about? It's like the catchiest thing I ever wrote is this jingle. I go, yeah, man, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So he's really sweating over corrections and clarifications.
I've heard the raw version. Yeah, it's good.
You heard the raw version. He's trying to put some production to it.
Oh,
he can't quite nail it yet. I'm like, he is a perfectionist. Yeah. So hopefully we'll have a corrections and clarifications jingle here soon. Anyway, let's go to the sports phone.
Hey guys, it's Paul. Just listen to the podcast from yesterday, or well, today. It'll be yesterday when you hear this. And Giglio, what did you say? You said NC State should let Kevin Concepcion go to the highest bidder because, quote, Tyreek Hill left the Chiefs and they're fine. What? Are you saying that NC State are the Chiefs? Are you saying that Dave Dorn is Andy Reid? Are you saying that CJ Bailey is Patrick Mahomes? What? I'm gonna need you to explain this, buddy. Like, no, I can't stand by and listen to that. They can let Kevin Concepcion go. That's fine, but don't be out here saying they should do it because they're the Chiefs.
No, that's not what I said. I said if
you broke his brain.
If the Chiefs, who are winning Super Bowls, can let go their top receiver, then any team can let go of their top receiver because there's a replacement value to that player.
I understand what you are saying.
Yeah.
I think where people might break their brains hearing that is as if NC State is built to survive those kind of things.
No,
I got your overall
NC State
point, though.
has a limited salary cap.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't make any sense to invest. Their top two players are their quarterback and Kevin Concepcion on their payroll. So it doesn't make any sense if you have a quarterback in Bailey. You're going to be, he's going to get a raise, but it doesn't make any sense if you have a $4 million payroll. It doesn't make any sense to give $600,000 or $600,000 to a receiver when you could probably get 2 or 3 other receivers who you already have on your roster. Rodgers, Grimes, Joe Lee, tight end is really receiver.
Yeah.
Or use that. You're better off using that money that you're spending on Kevin Concepcion on offensive linemen.
Next on the sports phone.
First of all, Wolfpack fans, let's just hold our horses. Dave always bounces back. He always bounces back. And just have good faith. Maybe not in him, but have it in Wolfpack Nation. On the other end, I am a Wolfpack season ticket holder, and I am the middle class. Joe and Joe, kick ass. Rock out.
I like how he rhymed there. How he rhymed in that situation.
Yeah, again, and I don't understand why people are mad about the middle class thing. I don't think he was, but
no, he wasn't. He wasn't.
You can't say always because the first year he didn't, and then in 19 he didn't, and that's why I'm interested in this year in the sense of how it plays out. Can you get to 6-6? Can you now show that my worst team, unlike my first year, unlike 2019, when things completely go all around me, can I get it to a level where here's our worst season now?
This is our floor. This is our true floor.
And I think that there is something to that would be impressive because when you don't have the ceiling to hang your hat on, you have to have that other stuff to be able to say, well, yeah, but it never gets that bad. But yes, in 2019, they went 1-7 in the league and they went 4-8 overall. So that's not always.
Yeah. The other thing I would add too, and it actually ties back to the conversation we were having with Chip, and that we're focused on ECU and how do they handle a coaching search with everything that's changed in college athletics. NC State also is in this situation if we want to stay with the middle class positioning that some state fans have been annoyed by, right?
Well, ECU's not in the middle class, though.
No, they're not. What I'm getting at, though, is that everything is relative.
Right.
And those house payments are looming over a lot of these schools because they don't know what it's really going to look like. And now they could have handled this themselves years ago if they actually had done their job. Fine, whatever. But here we are. They got to deal with this stuff. And I do think that will alter how certain administrations go about what they want to do with their coaching staffs. And there's a clear difference because I've seen some pushback from Carolina fans in that you guys are quick to write off Mac Brown, but you are finding excuses for Dave Dorn. Or I've heard from some State fans who say you're making excuses for Dave Dorn. And I think you have to go back to our conversations about Kevin Keats and how we talked about his future before they went on the run, about the realities of State as a program and the financial decisions they have to make. So all that being equal, it is more likely, even if NC State doesn't raise their floor, that they do make changes. It just doesn't happen to be changes with the head coach. Sure. Boo has a conversation with them. They change some coordinators around. They change some assistants. It is what it is. With Carolina, it's not about, we got to get rid of Mac. No, with Carolina, it's about, well, what's your future? What's next? We know what. Like, Mac Brown's not 55, okay? Like, we know what the end is for Mac Brown. It's winding down. It's sunsetting for him. So that's why we talk about that the way we've talked about it. Dave's in a completely situation because he's been here for 12 years, but he's a young dude, all things considered. And he's not going to walk away like Tony Bennett did at 55 or whatever Dave's age is now. I know you make that face, but I'm not so sure about that.
Dave's not 55 yet. I mean, they're two different situations in the sense that Max had two teams completely collapse the last 2 years. And now this year, after that James Madison game, I mean, why would you even defend him? I don't know. Yeah. Dave, we don't make excuses for Dave. I have accepted who Dave is. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a difference whether you want to see it or not. But Davis, who Dave is at this point in year 12. So I don't know why you would expect something different out of him. Whereas with Mac, you're talking about a guy who came back, had instant success, still relative. And then the last 2 years have been completely and totally inexcusable. The previous 2 years, the 22 and 23 seasons, were totally and completely inexcusable how they finished those seasons.
Yeah.
So why you accepted those finishes, I don't know. And then the way that this season has started, he's given you no reason to believe that it will change. So that and Carolina has more money than State.
Yeah, there's that too.
There is that.
Over to Twitter, where Leon, catching up on Ovies and Giglio, and just heard Ovies utter the term meat peeper, legitimately choking on my water. Somebody has not listened to Bomani Jones for a very, very long time. I remember the first time Bomani dropped that on terrestrial radio. I forgot what the topic was. And this is back when we were all working in the same building. And obviously we have you can monitor what's being discussed, right? And I forgot what he was talking about. And he drops the term meat peeper. I'm like, I had never heard that before. But it applies. It applies in this situation. He will still occasionally use that terminology. But that was the first time I heard it. Speaking of terminology, from James, lost it at shit and kittens. Now that's an Ovies original. Okay. That's an Ovies original. That's what happens when you have two cats that spend a lot of time in a litter box. And sometimes it's back in the kids, because we got two litter boxes and one's back in like the kids hangout area. They've decided to use that one as like the truck stop bathroom. Okay. And maybe it's because the kids stink. So they're like, oh, yeah. I mean, it already smells like crap back here, so might as well.
No big
deal, right? And when I say truck stop bathroom, you know exactly what I mean. This is not a breeze through bathroom, which is nice and clean. Absolutely not. From Beunifieds, McLean famously said DJU would win the Heisman. So hearing him now invoke DJ's name as a dig on South Carolina's quarterback is an amusing cell phone. There was not a reaction to McLean's appearance.
Hey, Mac.
Yesterday. And yeah, from Brant, as an NC State and South Carolina grad, someone please tell McLean to go kick rocks. Hey man, he's a clumsy guy. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm headed to the fair tonight. I will give you a full report on what I eat at the fair. Our guy Aaron is not making it to the fair this year. Kind of bummed out by that. So I feel like I have to step the game up.
I'll be over there this afternoon.
So I'll be headed to the fair this evening with the kids. And then after I'm done with the fair, you know what that means, Joe? I'm gonna sweat that out at O2 Fitness, O2fitnessclubs.com. It is more than a gym, but in this particular case, I need it to be a great gym, because with what I'm going to do to my body tonight at the fair, there's only one way to solve the issues, and that is to sweat it out at O2 Fitness Clubs.
Super important for your gym is to find the one near you. That's the first key to success. Seaboard Downtown is our home, but Falls of News, Cary, Briar Creek, Holly Springs, Durham, Chapel Hill, there's an O2 Fitness near you, and it's more than a gym. You got Renew Physiotherapy, you got Loop Nutrition, taking all those better steps to improve your life. Our friends at O2 Fitness are helping us.
You take multiple steps forward. Occasionally, you will
Not
have a
just a
step
leap.
back.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have a step back, like at the fair.
So much more than a gym.
That's going to wrap it up for today's show. We will see you for a Butcher's Market OG live Thursday, 2:00 on YouTube with podcast to follow.